Alright, everybody, at last we are at the end of this course, and the first thing that we will talk about is player connection server. So, if you want the player to only spawn once and you want to handle their deaths afterwards, um, this is what we're going to be working on. So, all you have to do is add a player connection script within your server script service, and you will give it whatever name you want, and just open the script and use the initialize the following services, and also the tool respawn points. So um, create some, add some blocks at the positions where you want the tools of the dead person to respawn in, and put them within a specific folder, and then you can basically get those children from that folder. And these are going to be the locations at which the tools are going to be respawning. Also, get the place ID of your main game, so your lobby, and whenever the player is added, just load their character. And then within the remotes, you want to add a def remote within your replicated storage remotes, as you can see over here. And I'll talk about the client side in a second, but on the server side, just get the server event and initialize the action. And now we're going to continue. I'll come back to this later on. So the client side is actually going to be the GUI itself. So you want two different GUIs. One of them is the def GUI, as you can see here, and the other one is an end GUI that you can see over here. Now, obviously, you can combine these two GUIs together and then write a specific module script for what elements you want to show and what elements you do not want to show. But this is like the most basic way to do it. So now let's first talk about the def GUI, okay? Because it's the most simple one. So obviously you want your replicated storage, you want the players and the local player, and you want to access the def GUI and the return button. So once, if the player has died, you want to enable your def GUI, and you want to fire the def remote, you want to fire it and pass in the action as reset tools. And after 30 seconds, you want to pass in destroy, because you want to remove the player basically from the game. And if this is just to prevent players from being on the dev screen for like too long. After like 30 seconds, you automatically kick them. And you can also return the players to lobby if they click on the return mouse button that you can see over here. This button. And now, let me turn off the image. Now, all you have to do in the end GUI. So for me, the idea is that if the player has any tools within their hands and they basically finish the game, then they get like specific amounts of essence. They get specific amount of essence from those tools, basically, if they have it in their inventory. And I have created a module script and attached it to the handler. And basically, everything has its own value. And based on its value, you will be given these amounts of essence, basically. And now what I am doing here is again calling the replicated storage player service and initializing the local player, and also the ngui return button, money text label, and my config folder over here. Now here I want the on client event, because you can do this where if the player touches a specific part, like if they, for example, trigger a specific um, proximity prompt, or which is basically for them to exit the dungeon or anything like that, you can just fire the server and then receive this client event over here, and you will enable the ngui, and gain essence is going to equal to 0, and you're going to loop through the player inventory, and for every tool, if the tool name is equal to the name of that tool in player inventory is equal to any of these, basically, then you're going to add that value, the value of that this value, these values basically. You're going to add them to the gained essence value, which is initially 0, but the more things that you have, the more it's going to increase. Now, you're also going to loop through every part in a player, and if it is a model, uh, and if like the player has that tool equipped, basically, you're going to also add that value to the general value, because remember, the player can have the tools, those like things within his inventory or within the tools folder. Like it can be a part of his character or the tools folder. So we have to look through both the tools folder and the character of the player. And we are basically setting the text here, money made, and then the value that the value of gained essence. And you want to also create an exit remote. And the reason for that is whenever we fire this and we pass the gained essence, we can go ahead and receive it within our player data. Here, .remote.exit.environment, we can receive it within our player data and add that value to our the value of our essence. And once the player is like leaving the game or teleporting back to the lobby, this data is going to be saved from your standard player leaving function that we created in previous videos. So also, if they click the return button, we want to basically we are firing the dev server, because in both cases we are using it for teleporting the player back to the lobby. Now here, so if the action is equal to destroy, then we are basically teleporting the player back to the lobby. Otherwise, if the action is just reset tools, then we want to check if the player, the number of tools within the player inventory is more than 0. And then we are going to look through those tools, and for each of them, we're going to place them at a random tool respawn point. That's basically it. So parent it back to the tools folder, and then enable the proximity prompt and set the C-frame to a random tool respawn point. Basically, that's it for this course. And I also wanted to talk about the mobs in general, because I also wanted to include this within the course, but the problem that I ran into is that obviously everyone has had problems with the pathfinding system of Roblox Studio, but I tried to use it in different ways. So I wasn't using waypoints for the movement of the character of these mobs, basically, and I was running into lots of errors. Okay, so basically there is no problem with finding a target, but there are problems with patrolling around, basically. So if I go here, I was using for my patrolling, I was basically choosing random locations around the character of my monster, and um, basically I was computing a path towards those locations. So, but this caused lots of problems. So one problem that I ran into was that sometimes that random path was going to be inside of a block, and I didn't want that, because the mob would just move to the block and it would never reach that end position. So you would get this very weird bug where the monster is constantly walking inside of the block. And so I found an easy fix for that. I just created some overlap params to and excluding the monster itself, and I used the get parts in bound, get parts in box function, and I basically created a 4x4x4 box, and I set the position at the each waypoint. And basically, what I was doing was I was checking. So let's say this is the character of the monster, and the waypoints are going. So if the position is inside of this block, the waypoints are going to be one by one by one until the character reaches here, where it can no longer get to this last waypoint. So I create a box on this waypoint, and I see that there is more than one block in this waypoint, and so my character cannot move to this waypoint over here. And that's basically where I would stop looping for each of the waypoints and moving. So the character would move all the way to here, but it will no longer move towards this final waypoint. But then I ran into another problem, and that is jumping over singular blocks. So if you have a look here, if the waypoint action is basically jump, then I want to change the humanoid state type to jumping, right? But this was a weird bug that I was running to. I do not understand why it doesn't work, but for some reason the monster walks all the way to the edge, and they jump, but they don't jump directly up. They basically get pushed back by the block, and then they no longer then like the next action for the waypoint action is just walking. It's no longer jumping. So what happens is the monster would walk towards the block, jump, get pushed back, and they would no longer try to get over this block. They would just walk into it. And I couldn't really fix this error. Maybe you guys can. So I'm going to show you guys the whole code, and maybe you guys can have a look through it. Maybe it is helpful for improving your own pathfinding system. But yeah, hopefully you guys can fix this problem. I couldn't find a definite solution to it, and it happens like around 80% of the times. But again, you have to keep in mind that this pathfinding service is running multiple times, so for multiple monsters, and so you will see it many times within the game. And here's all the code. I hope it is helpful to you guys. And this was basically the final episode for the series. And see you guys later.